Alrighty. So how's it going, Blazers? We're going to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. We're going to try something new with a live knife review, and we'll see how it goes, see how everything works out as far as how it looks. If you guys have any questions during the review, I can answer it. Because sometimes you might get to the end of a video and you're like, well, why didn't you give me this information? Or I was interested about this. So I will try to answer that the best I can if folks come on. If they don't, then it'll just be a regular review. So don't worry about that. So it is pretty cool that I was able to actually get the camera to be a little bit different because a lot of times when you do the live stream, it's a really wide shot. And I found that if you press the button again, then it cuts down a little bit more to a regular screenshot, which is fantastic because the other one was a little bit too big. So you get the whole fishbowl effect and everything. This is probably going to be a little bit better, at least for my opinion. So I made myself a little cup of coffee, and then we'll see if anybody else comes on. So I have one person on, which is fantastic. Welcome aboard. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down below. Coffee. What's up, Patrick? So we're going to go over this one here. So this one is from We Knives. It's basically, I'm going to butcher it probably, but the Blocao. So that's going to be from Michael Barbudo. So that's going to be this knife. It is a lockback knife, but it has kind of what they're calling a window lock, which is a very interesting thing. Doing pretty good. And then this one has, yeah, it's called a window lock, at least for what they're calling it. So 4 people on, fantastic. Welcome aboard. So this is going to be what they're calling a window lock. It's similar to what I was thinking as far as, I guess, let's see if you guys can place where you've seen this type of lock before, because I've seen it before, and it kind of rung a bell when I saw it in person as well as on a picture. But let me know as far as if you can place where that lock is. What's up, James, as well? So that's that one here. So this is going to be from We Knives. This is in S35. VN. So one thing about they have really very small writing for anything. Because I thought there was a little scratch on the blade here, but this is actually where they wrote S35, and it's very tiny. So you almost need a microscope to see that. So that's one thing that people really like about is that they don't do billboarding. So you do have some, as far as the maker's mark on this side, but otherwise, there's really nothing much on it. So that's one thing that's pretty cool for that as well. That's something that they've kind of made a niche for themselves. They still do have the We logo on the other side, but as far as the blade itself, really very much nothing on it for the most part for their knives. So that's one thing that's really interesting. So this one here, for a lockback, a lot of people have the basic idea of a lockback being a buck 110. Buck 110 is going to be that classic. I picked it up again because this one actually has the actual wood handles. So the other one had those diamond wood handles. It wasn't real. They actually teamed up, I think, with Taylor Guitars to actually go and get real wood again. So that's been something that was not around since like the 80s. So they were able to team up, actually have basically naturally farmed wood. So they're actually able to get it legally for the wood itself. And that is that one there. So you can kind of look as far as the style, some of the sizing for that. Camera's a little bit in an odd position. And I just... So let's try and... I think I'm moving again. So some of the bad things about doing it live is well, at least I get a lot of technical issues. So I went from Wi-Fi to my cell phone signal, because I do still record on my cell phone for that, but that's going to be what I'm going to be using for it. So seems to be moving now, but we're 5 minutes in, and then, but what Buck 110 is going to be a standard backlock knife for it. What's up, Dom? And then we also do have this one here. So this is also a backlock, but it's a backlock on bearing, so you're going to be able to drop it down a little bit, and then you're still going to be able to close it. So you still can do a one-hand open for it. They say that a lot of times you don't need to, and there's been kind of a kind of disconnect, because a lot of times people would want to just flick it open. So if you flick it open, a lot of times you'll hit the back part, so it has quite a bit of pressure on it, so it'll actually push back down. So if you hear that click, I mean, it is fairly solid as far as that lockup. So you can do a traditional style of opening, or you can do kind of a more forceful, intentional flip to get that open. But that's going to be how that looks. So this one goes, for a price point wise, is about $267, and then MSRP about $315 for the knife. And then you're going to have basically it's a 4.2-inch blade, which is fairly large for most folks. But also, just going back to anybody that's just joining in, anybody can place where, have you seen that type of locking mechanism before? And we'll get into that a little bit later as well. Yeah, there we go. So you might be on board with that. So this one, as far as the sizing for it, I do some of these little charts on it, so you can print these out and kind of look at it yourself. But this was going to be, for this one here, it's like women's hand. It's going to be fairly large, even both for adult male hand. So you can see where it's going to kind of ride for that. So you can kind of print that out, see where it's going to sit. And then also going to be for the other one, for adult male hand, you can kind of look at that. Yeah, it does have an elegant look to it. It does look a lot like it's custom, so he does do a lot of custom work. He was supposed to be doing a lot of knife work and basically blacksmithing for a lot of his life. And then he actually had his whole shop burned down, and he kind of rebuilt it, became a full-time knife maker for that as well. So that is kind of a good story for that, and being able to kind of rebuild and actually have the perseverance to actually do that, which is pretty awesome. So that's going to be the sizing for it. S35 for this blade steel. So it's going to be a good one overall for what you're going to use it for. 4.2 again for the actual blade length, and then that's going to be where it's going to be a clip point blade, similar to that, and then also it's going to have basically a flat grind, so the flat grind goes across the front side of it. So JD Shadow also, cool Hanks, by the way. I think you're the one that does the Hanks. And also, hi Zach, just so you pop in as well. So this is going to be a flat grind for it across the edge. And then for this one, it's going to be about, I guess, for the specification as far as the behind the edge thickness, I put it into reference as far as sheets of paper. And then I don't know if that makes any sense to folks as far as that goes, but that was kind of the only thing that I could really correlate for it. So basically about 5.5 sheets of paper. You can't really have a half sheet of paper, but it's basically 5 sheets of paper that you're going to have the thickness behind the edge. So what that means, as far as you basically have that secondary bevel, which is sharp, and right behind that is going to be about 5 sheets of paper. So grab 5 sheets of paper, and that's going to be how thick that is behind the edge. Oh, back to work, Zach. Take care. Thanks for stopping in. And then that's where that measurement comes from for that. And then you're also going to be having 4mm blade stock. So blade stock is 4mm for it. So it does have that. And then it's not a full flat grind, so it's going to have a pretty steep ramp up from that sharpened edge up to the top side of things for this. And then also looking at some of the other ones that are kind of staples. So you're going to even have a Delica as far as what the sizing is on that. You're going to have something that is supposed to be super strong as well. So this type of lock for the triad lock, for the cold steel. And then what some people were kind of alluding to, and that's where I thought so as well, as far as this lock here. So this is the Buck Marksman. This one's different because you can actually flick it out, because it has a little bit less tension on this type of the strong back lock. So that's going to be here, as far as that locking mechanism goes for it. So that's where I thought that it looked very similar. This one just adds tension through a lock back. And this one adds tension through this bar that runs on top, and actually is adjustable. So if you ever get any type of lock rock or anything like that, then you can actually do the adjustment, so you can loosen it up. There's actually a adjustment on the back here that you can actually, normally has with the box as far as a little Allen wrench for that, but this one did not for some reason. But that's where that is. Yeah, Tough Light's amazing. I'd recommend it. I really like it. Tough Light is very cool. You can just drop it down. Yep, there you go. Tough Light's a cool knife. So this one is going to be sharpened also. For that secondary bevel, it's going to be about 36 degrees, 18 degrees per side as far as the sharpened edge. And then it's going to be about 18 degrees per side. So that's going to be that sharpness for that is the knife here. So overall, for the knife, it's very large. Now, so if somebody really likes big knives, it is a very beautiful knife as well. So for this carbon fiber is a very good addition for it. It's good in hand, but also with these type of cutouts, it's going to work really well for some, and then it's going to be not so great for some others. So for me, if I really hold up on it, basically my fingers are kind of getting on these lumps. So I have a large hand, and that's where you're going to have maybe not the best fit. So you have a little bit larger fingers, they'll just drop right into those slots and you'll be perfect for it. But this one itself, or me, doesn't really work too well for that. And that's kind of the issue that I had with it. So for a therapeutic edge, he would probably love this knife because it is a very large knife. And then so he does like large knives, and that would probably be the one for him. So he should probably sign up for the Apex Pass Around group to check it out, because this is going around for here. But it's a very good one overall. Backlock, so you can drop it onto your finger there and then drop it the rest of the way. And it does click open like that. So it has quite a bit of tension for that opening. So to get an idea for that, I'm actually going to bust out kind of the behind the scenes type of thing. So we'll do the Lyman pull gauge for it, and then we'll also use, as it gets caught up on stuff, I'm going to use a handy dandy dental floss. Dental floss is pretty good because it actually holds up quite well. So for the amount that it holds on to, we'll see how much it takes to actually pull this the rest of the way. And it's quite hefty for the actual weight on it. So we'll see how much it takes to actually pull this the rest of the way. I might actually break the dental floss. So 5 pounds, 10.5 ounces. So that's quite a bit to actually get that open. So that's where it's a lot. It's quite a bit. So that's going to be that weight to actually get that open. So you can kind of get an idea as far as what that's going to feel like for you to actually do that for this knife. So all those things going down the listing as far as, so going from a custom knife maker to having a production knife, if you love his knives, then this would be a good way to go. It would be inexpensive for you in comparison to the custom, but $267 for the pricing. That's a Blade HQ. And then basically you do have traditional way to open it, thumb stud opening, but you can't flick it open. You can do a wrist flick with a thumb, but that's going to be how you're going to be getting this open here. So it is kind of a lockback, but it's a lockback with this type of what they're calling a window lock. And then that's where I'm kind of saying it's kind of similar to the Buck Marksman as far as the way it locks up. So you can flick it out. So it is something that you can operate one-handed if you'd like to. It just takes a little bit more effort to be able to do that. Some practice as well, especially on the closing procedure, on actually being able to do that as well. So any other questions as far as what you guys feel that I'm missing from the information that I covered today? We also do have, a lot of people like to know how wide the knife is too. So leave it in the comments as far as anything else that you'd like me to cover, so you can have that information. That's going to be the width of it, so 0.58 inches as far as the width of the knife. And then again, the blade length is 4.2. The handle is about 5.14 inches as well. And this one is going to be decent again. If you can kind of tell from the way that I'm talking about the knife, it's okay. It's something that I think that you should experience. Something that might be fun to take a look at. But me personally, I wouldn't recommend buying it. I would say borrow it. You might be like, yes, it's the best knife in the world for me, and it might click all the boxes for you. For me, I like a little bit more fidget factor. This doesn't really have that for me as far as something that fidgets with. But that's where I think. I have about 3% on my phone, but thought I would swing by, so good. Thank you for making in for 3%. Great time. Thanks for joining in. This is on bearings. It's not on bushings. I believe it is on bearings for the knife. Yeah, definitely on bearings. Yes, I mean that's so just like the marksman, you're not going to really have much resistance in the middle. So that's why when you actually disengage it, I would recommend flipping it over and then back this way. So if you actually just deploy it, yes, you can use the wrist action. So basically, if you're going to click it open, it is going to be something that you're going to want to whip it open a little bit to actually do. So this sort of be mindful of your fingers, because if you're just going to use a regular action for it, hey, never mind. So you can use without wrist, I guess, too. But if you're not intentional about it, you might bounce it back on yourself. But you can just flick it out like that. So I guess over time it'll also wear in a little bit. So it might actually be something that kind of grows with you. Skeletonized, no skeletonization on there. So you do have the carbon fiber scale on the outside of it, so you are taking away quite a bit of that titanium. So if you can see between the carbon fiber and titanium, that's kind of doing the same thing as the inner skeletonization, but you're doing it on the outside and actually doing the carbon fiber. But there is not any weight reduction on the inside. Something that's important, the weight of the knife. So let's bust out the scale for that. Oh, and I have a low battery. So hopefully that works. If not, I apologize. So, well, it's still working. So 6.4 ounces. So it is a hefty knife, but sometimes that's a positive for people. So that's where, again, there's so many knives in the community. You're going to find something that's really good for you, something that actually works, and then is going to be your possibly perfect knife. Not for me, but maybe for you. Let's see, any hot spots? Hot spots for me is going to be down in this area. Hot spots other than knockback. No, knockback side is really smooth, so you don't have anything really there that's going to get you when you're holding on to it, when you're actually pushing on stuff. It's really good on the back side, actually. See, there you go. Perfect. Definitely a fan. So you're always going to find fans of different knives for here. So spine itself is slightly chamfered on this side. You're going to get some 90-degree on this lower edge where you might be able to do like ferro rod striking and everything else, but there still is some rounding to it here. Yeah, I mean, you're carrying around the Heretic knife, and that was a pretty large one. So yeah, I mean, this would probably work as well. But this, again, so going over for anybody that joined in, or anybody that's still all the way through the ride. So we knife, Miguel Barbudo. There's the Blocao. Blocao, and that is the WE knife. Overall length, well, it's what, 4.2 plus 5.14, so you're looking at 9.34 as far as the total length. That's going to be the total length of the knife there, Patrick. And so price $264.75, $315 MSRP. You don't pay for, so it's just kind of out there as far as the MSRP. And then the deployment side, you have a little bit less, not real fidget factor type of thing for it. Behind edge thickness, again, is 5.5 sheets of paper, about 23 thousandths. 4mm blade stock, flat grind. It's going to be right hand tip up for the carry, and it's going to be, I forgot how many ounces, but over 6 pounds, or 6 ounces, not 6 pounds. That would be something. I would have somebody carry a 6-pound knife, but 6 ounces for the knife. So again, looking at buck 110 for sizing. Right there. So check those things out. Again, I would say borrow for the knife. If you're going to be looking at something else, that's where they're having some issues with people not really knowing how the knife worked, because you would kind of flip it open like a normal knife. You would want to actually just flick it, and then people are having it bounce back. There was some misunderstanding as far as how the knife would work. So that's one reason why this is going out there. Pretty narrow clip. Yeah. I mean, they try and, I mean, I guess that's some good thing about it. You actually can hide it away where people don't see this coming out of your pocket. Little pocket knife, pocket sword. Sorry, I took a little coffee break there. But that's one thing that, I mean, you're not going to have too much sticking out of it. What I have for, I don't have any paper. I mean, that's going to be what's going to be sticking out of your pocket. And this kind of runs with the side of the pocket, so that's going to be the carry for it. And anything else that I might be missing, I think some of you were here from the beginning. Bladesman, welcome aboard. So if you guys have any questions or anything else, Patrick, I think you were here right from the get-go, so you covered a few things over and over again, but if you have any questions on this knife, let me know. The end result for me is a borrow. If you like it, then go out and pick it up and see how it works for you. But that's going to be how it locks up. So that's where the detent is. So it's a little smaller section. So it pops up the lock. And then when it closes, it opens and pops in there. So very, very solid lockup for it. It can be used one-handed and close down that way. So it's a little bit of timing and a little bit of chance as far as how much you're going to flick it down. If you do too little, then it will close like that. Then you just push it the rest of the way. Any way that you pinch, any way that would pinch on deployment? I don't think so. I mean, maybe, let's see if I pinch myself. So if I put it, yeah, you could pinch yourself. So I mean, right there, I mean, that's probably the same as probably any backlock though, if you put your finger in there. Because you're gonna have something that's gonna come together. But as far as where you would put your fingers, I would say no. As far as where you're gonna actually have a pinch, so even if you're opening it up, you're mostly gonna be down here. When you close it, you're not going to be having your finger in that joint. So I would say no, there's not a way to get pinched on it. And then also the thumb stud rotates all the way around, so you can actually do that all the way through. So for that last question by JB, no, I don't think it's going to pinch you. Rockwell side, I think it was about 60 to 62 as far as what they're listing. This one wasn't tested though, so I'm not too sure if that's going to be exactly accurate, but I think they're pretty decent about some of that. So I think that's about it. Anything else, let me know as far as what you folks think. So that's actually the blade shape. Okay. Well, that works. So thank you folks for stopping by. I do like that I found a way to make the camera a little bit smaller. So if anybody else is going to go live, I guess if you click the camera button twice, then it will actually go to the screen other than that super wide fisheye bubble. Hey, no problem at all. You can go back and watch it, see how what you think about it. But that's going to be a new knife from them. It's different. It's solid. It's almost like a regular, basically a fixed blade almost. But it is something that is good for some folks. A Therapeutic Edge said he liked it. It's an interesting knife. Yes, I agree. Interesting knife. But it's okay. Not for me. I wouldn't buy it. I would borrow it, which I did, and then but it's going to move on to the next person in the pass around group. So we'll get that set up, and then we'll get it onto those folks. And maybe you're going to find somebody that's going to be like, "This is the best knife in the world," and then it doesn't get to the next person, and they make it disappear somehow. But let me know in the comments down below as far as what you think. Do you guys like the live format? It seems like I was able to cover a little bit more because there's some questions that came up that I normally don't cover, which is pretty good. And then that's where it's going to be going for this. I saw a review of the knife earlier. Yeah, I think 2 people had it. The knives had it, and also Birdshot IV also had the knife too. At least that's the one that I saw pop up. Good, thanks, Jed. Yeah, I think it works out well because then I'm able to answer questions as far as how they pop up. Cool, cool. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah, and it's actually nice to actually talk to folks because if anyone hasn't done videos like this before, at least me, I'm in a room and I kind of like talk to myself. I'm still talking to myself, but at least I'm talking to somebody in a sense, because you guys are actually commenting live, and I'm actually not talking to myself totally, but that's going to be how that is. I appreciate it. Yeah, lives are more fun for me because it's a little bit more of a conversation, a little bit more of something that I actually enjoy better than doing the other ones because I'm actually able to interact with folks as well. Anybody seen this one here? Maker knife. It's kind of cool. It's cool, and it's also a little, I don't know, there's something about it where, like, I don't like how much it has play for it. So yeah, there's a cool factor. I bought it because it was cool, but I don't know. I'm still kind of getting my idea for that. SHOT Show, if anybody is going to be watching coverage for that, hopefully we'll get some coverage for SHOT Show going with QSP. Definitely Fidget Factor for the Maker knife. And then that's going to be from the 21st to the 25th, I think. At least I know I'm going to be there a day before, and I think a day after. This one is not TI. There's aluminum and steel. My knife is taking longer than I would like, so I still have this print. So basically, it's going to be this profile. This is all the things for it. So it's going to be reversible right hand tip up, left hand tip up. I'm not going to do the other way, the wrong way, but it's going to be now both those carries, so it's going to be left to right. You can switch that over. Thumb studs are going to be removable as well, so if you just don't like them, take them off. If you want to take it off for sharpening purposes, take it off, put it back. It's going to be steel, so it's not going to have a strip out factor that you're going to have with some of the Benchmade knives. You're going to have the pivot. I would think I'm going to have it without the Torx bit on this side, and then the Torx bit's going to be on this side because it's going to be a non-free spinning pivot. button lock as well. But it's taking longer than I would have liked for it because I wanted to get the prototypes by Blade Show West, and then I wanted to get the knives, the prototypes by Atlanta, but they're trying to work out, yeah, D-shaped pivot as far as the pivot itself. So then I was wanting to get it by, no, yeah, then I wanted to get it by SHOT Show, but it seems like it's their first button lock that they're making, so there's just some growing pains with that as far as getting the mechanism down correctly, and I want it done right, and hopefully you folks want it done right. So I'm going to actually bring some of my button locks to SHOT Show, and then we're going to kind of play around with those. Yeah, and actually I did increase it, so this went from the Wii Show to my knife, but so this is basically Gen 1, Gen 2. As far as some of the differences, there's some little changes that I made now. So between the first one and the second one, so the first one, of course, is going to have a tip, but I made this 3 or 4 millimeters bigger this way, so the trail's bigger. Some little rounding here on the Gen 2 for it. Also the pocket clip, changed a little bit of the orientation for it. Also, the first one I was like, oh, that's not enough space for a pocket. So basically Gen 2 is basically a little bit higher for that. It does have a rounded ball area. Gen 2, I had it a little bit after Blade, because that was one of the boxes that did not arrive on time. So I would have had it by Blade West, but it was stuck in China still. But this is basically the Gen 2 version, and again, it's going to be removable thumb studs. Can you shrink the flipper tab to completely hide it? No. You can cut it off if you don't like it. So it's very small, I mean, for a flipper tab. So I mean, take a little Dremel to it if you don't like it, and then you would have no flipper tab, and then it'll be totally gone. Because to hide it, then I'd have to actually increase the handle scale to do that. And some people would say, oh, get rid of that or get rid of that. I like it, so I'm not going to. I like a lot of deployment methods. So since it's my knife, and hopefully your knife, you can kind of make it how you want to. So if you want to take out the thumb studs, do that, fill it in. If you want to take off the flipper tab, grind it off. But Dylan Mallory was able to handle it for the Gen 1. Nick Shabazz was able to handle it. We had Long Island Knife Guy, Jack Farmboy. Who else handled it? JB also handled it. And I forgot who else handled it. But there's a few people that handled the Gen 1. And then I was asking for honest feedback, so I didn't give them any information as far as what I already wanted to change on this one. And then so when they were giving me all the feedback for it, I already had that for the Gen 2 as far as I made notes for that already. So everything that they wanted to change for it matched up to what I already wanted to change for it. And a lot of people felt it was really ergonomic. So I mean, you're going to have this cut, you're going to have basically a pull cut, you're going to have reverse grip for it. If you want to just hold it back here, you can do that. If you want to hold it up here, you can do that. If you want to do more of a basically this type of cutting. Yeah, so that's going to be, so I'm going also for, the first one I want to keep it pretty open on pricing too, so I'm looking at about $75 for price point, 14C28 for the blade, G10 handle scales, going to have a colored pivot for it, so you can make it your own as well. Going to have a colored G10 backspacer as well. I was thinking about aluminum, but in colder climates, you're going to get that shock of the cold. all the time. So I don't know, I was just trying to think of something else. I'm not going to do a pre-order list. I might set up a email list because I'm going to do Kickstarter. So still learning all that stuff. So if anybody's a genius at that, reach out because I still have to do those type of things. It's $10. Yeah, I'll probably make it for the first person. First few can have it for $65. But yeah. But that's the estimated price point is 75. So if you want it for 65, just like any campaign, there's going to be probably some that will be cheaper. And I'm also looking at additions because most people have things like rags and everything else with the cleaning cloth. So I was almost thinking about doing like a coin for maybe the first 100 or 200 orders. And then, yeah, I don't know. Because if anybody's ever done this type of stuff, so you have the knife, then you have all the mechanisms, you have things down to angles, millimeters, then you have the box, then you have the packaging, then you have what paper you want to put in it, then you have to warn people that it's a sharp knife because it's like people don't know like that like coffee is hot. People don't know the knife's sharp, and so to actually do that, you have to say the knife is sharp. So there's a lot of stuff, but it's moving along. So I'm looking to have to do about 250 orders to make it a reality. And then that's where hopefully that will happen. If not, then I'll have a lot of prototypes and I'll just put it on my wall and then save it for another day. But that's going to be how that is. Yeah, challenge coin. So maybe not as big, but maybe like a 1.5 inch coin. I don't think I'll be able to number them, but it'll be kind of a limited run for that. Thanks, Blade Man. I didn't see that earlier, but yeah. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Yeah, QSP, since I'm already have a little bit of a relationship with them, they're going to be working on making it. This is going to be their first button lock knife. So if it works out, I mean, maybe they'll have some button locks within their own lineup. But yes, they'll be the one that will be doing that. And they actually did the prints for me as well. So I did 2D, 3D, sent it to them. They did a little bit of 3D rendering, changed it up a little bit. And then also some people ask, this is not a recurve. So this is a straight and then a round at the tip. Also, it lines up with the pivot. So basically the tip lines up as a pivot. So if you actually are doing any puncturing, you're getting it right into the middle of the blade. So it's nothing that's high or low. But that is that. And then if it's successful, then I'll move on to another project. Or I'll just keep on making iterations of this, different blade shapes and whatnot. I will try and get it as thin as possible. It's going to be a high flat. So it's going to be from here down. They kind of work in a basic idea as far as how it's going to be for the actual blade. But if you're going from a 3mm, oh, sorry, I'm going to cough. Kids are petri dishes. Oh, I have a little bit of cold. Basically it's a 3mm blade stock. Each of these are about 4mm. But 3mm blade stock, high flat from here all the way down. So it is going to have a pretty good transition. Should have a pretty good behind the edge as well for the blade. So yes, I'll try and make it thin. I'm not going to make it flexible thin, but I'm going to try and get it thin as well for cutting. And that's it. Yep, so that's the prototype. That's the idea. This is pretty much the form factor of it. I'm not going to change it right now. It's pretty much locked in. They're working on the internals, make everything work properly. and we're going to be going from there. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's something that started with a piece of paper right before Blade Show Atlanta, and then I kind of dabbled with Draft Site and some other program, Fusion 360, and then put this one together. So do hope it works out well. But yeah, that is that. Button lock. No lanyard hole. I'm not a lanyard guy. Well, that's one of my pet peeves. I don't like things moving for a lanyard hole. Because there's no lanyard hole, you want your $10 back? That's fine. But I was thinking about trying to do like the hidden one on the back spacer. I don't know. I don't think you need it. I mean, how big is your hand? I don't know. But preference. So with it being, I went back and forth on it, and then I just didn't want a lanyard hole. So if you like lanyards, I don't know what to do for you. Tie it through the pocket clip. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no hole, but a hidden one. Yeah, I might need to work that out if necessary. But really, how, like, I don't know. It seems like the whole community went towards like lanyard holes and lanyards, and I don't know how many people actually use them. Like people that I see carrying around in Blade Show and everything else, not many people with lanyards on them. So it's like they're making the whole knife to have a lanyard, and then people don't use lanyards. I don't know. But I guess people don't use, not everybody uses both sides, but I'm doing that. So right, left hand. I don't know. Maybe not, but maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's something that people might have preferences on. But yeah, that's kind of the progress. It's been slow going. It's something that I have other things to do. I mean, there's, as I was saying, there's boxes to work out, there's graphics to work out, there's a brand name, there's a knife name, there's whatever goes inside the box that goes in there. There's how am I going to ship it? Am I going to put it in another box? Am I going to put it in a bag? Am I going to, what program am I going to use for shipping? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to look at. But hopefully it'll be a good thing. Maybe eventually I can quit my job and do something else. But we'll see how it goes. But if you have any other questions, let me know for that. And then a quickie thing for anybody that's still here. I don't get this too much. Like, this has gotten like so much rave reviews. It's okay. I don't know. We'll see. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So, if nothing else, thank you very much to everybody that's joined in. It just looks... yeah, maybe. It is a honey badger with a big, different blade, but I never had a honey badger ever, so I bought that one. So I was like, what's all the hype? I don't know. So I'll see how the review goes. Maybe I'm going to fall in love with it at some point. I guess coming back to the video. If you like to buy that, buy it. If not, oh well. But you did a good job on it. It's going to be for somebody. Not for me, but it will be for somebody. Rip dye. This, yeah, it's kind of plain. I mean, I would probably recommend rip dyeing it. Maybe both sides. I know you're probably talking about the honey badger, but I'm just saying. Because most times I show people this, they're saying that, oh, the pivot's bad. You should have it a little bit sharper. Yeah, all those things. I know, I was just joking. But that is the progress for anybody with it. I'm locking down the name of the brand, and then I'm going to be locking down the name of the knife, because the name of the brand is basically what I was going to name this knife. I ended up naming the brand that, and then now I got to figure out what I'm going to name this. So that's where I'll be figuring that out as I go. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff to figure out, and hopefully it all goes well. BB1. Oh, BBA. No, I'll probably get. Oh, they're gonna give me infringements on. I'm gonna lose all the money from it because that'll be a licensing deal if I do BBA. We'll see, but I'm gonna have a theme to it, because if it ever comes to something, then I have somewhere else to go with additional models. But maybe there's the flash in the pan. It'll be the only knife I ever make, which is fine. It's probably further than some people have gotten with it, but I don't know. We'll see how everything works out. See where everything goes. I don't have the Zippo on me, but the Zippo lighter is pretty cool that I got from Jack Farm Boy, with a little propane, butane type of lighter. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, Star Wars is gonna come after me big time for that if I do BBA. And then quick thing, this is coming out with a thumb stud too. So if anybody hasn't figured or seen that, there's going to be a thumb stud for the Puffin from all the reviews, or a lot of the reviews that wanted that. But that is it. Thank you very much. Cool. Appreciate it. What about fasteners? I haven't seen that. I'd have to see. A 3mm hex though. 3mm? That is tiny. I don't know if I want that. Oh, 3mm. No, that's fine. I was thinking something else. I was thinking like this is 6. So I was thinking 3 is gonna be tiny, but I have to look at that. I haven't seen the Reich hardware. But anyway, a lot of little gabbing. I think I was kind of rambling off. Hopefully it was coming out at least decently well as far as audio. Yeah, I'll see. But I have to look at that as far as their fasteners for Reich to see how that is. Thanks a lot. Knife's going to be about 75 bucks. This is on the market already if you want to pick up this one. And maybe I'll do more of these lives, because it's a lot more fun than all the other time, because really I spent about a few hours on I don't know how, a 8-minute, 10-minute video, but very good. Good night. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, and thank you very much.